The Grand Council chamber of the Interstellar Defense Coalition sparkled with holographic displays and floating data screens. Thousands of alien representatives from across the galaxy sat in their designated pods, their attention focused on the central presentation area. Today's agenda: Earth's application to join the coalition. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood calmly at the speaker's platform, her dark blue uniform neat and precise. Behind her, the main display showed various angles of Earth's space fleet. The images revealed ships that looked nothing like the sleek vessels preferred by coalition members. Instead, Earth's ships were bulky, with visible welding lines crossing their hulls like scars. Their shapes were angular and practical, rather than the flowing organic designs favored by advanced civilizations. A quiet murmur spread through the chamber. Several council members leaned forward in their pods, their expressions showing mixtures of confusion and amusement. "These are your primary defense vessels?" High Councilor Sarnax asked, his crystalline form shimmering with barely contained laughter. "The ones you propose to contribute to our coalition fleet?" "Yes, High Councilor," Sarah replied, her voice steady and professional. Earth's fleet currently consists of 57 heavy cruisers, 123 destroyers, and 300 support vessels. The murmur grew louder. A representative from the Meridian cluster couldn't contain himself any longer and burst into musical chiming laughter. Others quickly joined in. Ambassador Chen, another council member, spoke up, her feathered crest rippling in amusement. "Surely you understand that coalition ships are built using advanced bioorganic technology. Your vessels appear to be constructed from basic metals and alloys." Sarah nodded. "Correct, Council Member Tilara. Our ships are primarily constructed from reinforced titanium steel alloys, with additional composite layers for specific functions. And these lines across the hull." Sarnax pointed at one of the images. "They appear to be manual joining points." "We call them welds." "Yes," Sarah explained. "They're a fundamental part of our construction process." The chamber erupted in another wave of laughter. Even the usually stoic hive mind representatives vibrated their sensor arrays in what passed for amusement among their kind. High Councilor Sarnax raised his crystalline appendage for silence. "Ambassador Chen, while we appreciate Earth's enthusiasm, you must understand that coalition fleet vessels operate in harmony. They share neural links, can merge into larger forms, and heal themselves using advanced biotechnology. Your ships are simply too primitive to integrate with our forces." Sarah remained perfectly still, her expression neutral. "We understand the technological differences, High Councilor. However, we believe our fleet could still provide valuable support to coalition operations." "Support?" Tilara's feathers ruffled. "Ambassador, in modern space combat, vessels without bioorganic systems typically last less than 5 minutes against advanced threats. Your ships would be more of a liability than an asset." The council chambers filled with sounds of agreement. Several members were already preparing to leave, considering the matter settled. "We will now vote on Earth's application," Sarnax announced. "Those in favor of accepting Earth into the coalition." The chamber remained silent. Not a single member raised their voting indicator. Those opposed. A sea of red indicators lit up the chamber. "Ambassador Chen," Sarnax's voice carried a note of finality, "Earth's application to join the Interstellar Defense Coalition is denied. We recommend you focus on advancing your shipbuilding technology to meet modern standards before reapplying. This session is adjourned." As the council members filed out, many still chuckling about the primitive Earth vessels, Sarah Chen gathered her materials calmly. A slight smile played at the corners of her mouth. But nobody noticed. She had expected this response. After all, the coalition didn't understand Earth's ships yet. But they would. Soon enough, they would. 3 months after Earth's rejection from the coalition, the emergency alarms in the council chamber screamed to life. The once peaceful chamber now pulsed with red warning lights as representatives rushed to their pods in panic. High Councilor Sarnax's crystalline form vibrated with tension as he studied the tactical displays. The Vexicari, a species known for their aggressive expansion, had launched a massive attack against Coalition space. Their ships, beautiful and deadly crystalline structures, cut through Coalition defenses like light through glass. "How many colonies have we lost?" Tilara asked, her feathers pressed flat against her head in distress. 7 in the first wave, a tactical officer reported. "The Vexicari ships they're somehow bypassing our bioorganic shields. Our vessels can't regenerate fast enough to counter their weapons." The main display showed footage from the front lines. Coalition ships, despite their advanced technology, were being torn apart. Their self-healing systems, usually so effective, couldn't keep up with the devastating assault. The flowing, organic lines of Coalition vessels crumbled under the Vexicari's crystal energy weapons. "Send the Meridian fleet to protect the outer colonies," Sarnax ordered, "and request support from the hive mind vessels. We need to contain this invasion before—" "High Counselor," another officer interrupted. "The Meridian fleet, it's gone." The Vexicari weapons shattered their neural networks. The ships, they just fell apart. Silence fell over the chamber. The Meridian fleet had been one of their strongest forces. Reports kept flowing in. Colony after colony fell to the Vexicari advance. The Coalition's bioorganic ships, pride of their civilization, proved surprisingly vulnerable to the invaders' crystalline technology. Their supposedly advanced vessels were being destroyed faster than they could be grown and deployed. "We're receiving a massive refugee wave," Tilara reported, her voice shaking. They're heading toward Earth's space." "Earth?" Sarnax turned sharply. "Why would they flee to that primitive system?" "Because the Vexicari haven't attacked it yet." Sarah Chen's voice came from the chamber entrance. The Earth ambassador walked calmly to her old position on the speaking platform. The Council watched in silence as she activated a data feed showing Earth's response to the crisis. Their primitive ships were forming defensive lines around their space, accepting refugee ships from Coalition worlds. "Ambassador Chen," Sarnax's voice carried a note of desperation, "surely you understand that Earth is in grave danger. The Vexicari ships are far more advanced than even our Coalition vessels. Your fleet won't stand a chance." As if in response to his words, a new message flashed across the main display. The Council members froze as they read the Vexicari ultimatum to Earth. "Primitive species, your metal vessels offend us. Surrender your system immediately or face destruction. You have 1 planetary rotation to comply." Sarah Chen read the message carefully, then turned to face the Council. Her expression remained calm, almost serene. "Thank you for bringing this to our attention. Earth will respond appropriately." "Ambassador, please," Tilara pleaded. "You must evacuate while you can. Those ships of yours won't last 5 minutes against the Vexicari fleet." Sarah's slight smile returned, the same one she'd worn when Earth's application was rejected. "Perhaps," she said quietly, "it's time to find out exactly what Earth's primitive ships can do." As she left the chamber, the Council members exchanged worried glances. They had laughed at Earth's fleet once. Now, watching the Vexicari invasion force turn toward Earth space, they prayed their mockery hadn't doomed humanity. The Coalition Council watched in tense silence as the Vexicari fleet approached Earth's outer colony on Europa. The chamber's main display showed Earth's primitive ships forming a defensive line around the colony. Their bulky forms looked even more outdated next to the gleaming crystal ships of the Vexicari. "This will be over quickly," one council member whispered. "Those welded metal boxes don't stand a chance." The Vexicari struck first. Their crystal energy beams, which had torn through Coalition bioships with ease, lanced out toward Earth's vessels. The Council members held their breath, expecting to see the human ships shatter instantly. Instead, something strange happened. The energy beams hit the Earth ship's hull plating and seemed to disappear. The visible welding seams on the hulls glowed briefly, but the ships remained intact. "Impossible." Tilara's feathers stood straight up in shock. "Run that sensor data again." The tactical officer's hands shook as he analyzed the readings. The Earth ships, their hull design, it's absorbing and dispersing the crystal energy through those welding seams. They're using the energy attacks to power their shields. Now it was Earth's turn to respond. Their ships, which the Council had mocked for being so slow, suddenly accelerated straight toward the Vexcari fleet. The crude engines they'd laughed at pushed the human vessels to point-blank range. "What are they doing?" Xerix demanded. "That's suicidal. They'll be destroyed at that range." The Earth ships opened fire, but instead of energy weapons, they launched what looked like solid metal projectiles. The Council watched in amazement as these simple kinetic weapons punctured straight through the Vexcari's crystal shields, shattering their beautiful ships into clouds of glittering fragments. A Vexcari battleship managed to score a direct hit on one of Earth's cruisers, tearing a huge gash in its side. The Council expected the ship to explode or retreat. Instead, small shapes emerged from the damaged vessel. "Magnify that section," Xerix ordered. The display zoomed in to show human repair crews in spacesuits walking on the ship's hull. They carried what looked like portable welding equipment. As the battle raged around them, they calmly began repairing the damage. "They're fixing their ships during combat." Tilara's voice was filled with disbelief. "Those seams we mocked. They're repair guidelines." More footage poured in. Earth ships taking hits that would have destroyed coalition vessels, but staying in the fight. Repair crews working in the middle of battle, patching holes and replacing damaged plates. The ugly compartmentalized design keeping the ships functional, even after taking massive damage. The Vexcari, faced with ships that refused to die and weapons that ignored their defenses, began to retreat. Their perfect crystal ships, designed for quick, decisive victories, had no answer for Earth's endurance warfare. In the Council chamber, understanding finally dawned. Everything they had mocked about Earth's ships had a purpose. The visible welding seams were emergency repair guidelines. The crude metal construction could be fixed on the fly. The compartmentalized design meant that no single hit could disable the ship. "They didn't build their ships to be pretty," Tilara whispered. "They built them to survive." As they watched Earth's battered but victorious fleet secure Europa, the Council members remembered how they had laughed at humanity's primitive technology. Now, as refugees crowded their chamber seeking news of Earth's victory, no one was laughing anymore. Sarah Chen's mysterious smile suddenly made perfect sense. She had known all along what the Council was about to learn. Sometimes, the simplest solution is the strongest. The Coalition's main engineering facility buzzed with activity as scientists and analysts studied footage from the Battle of Europa. Holograms showed Earth ships from every angle, with special attention paid to their construction methods. What had once been viewed as primitive was now the subject of intense study. Dr. Tilara stood before a gathered group of Coalition experts, her feathers shifting with excitement as she pointed to various design features. "Look at how they built these compartments," she explained. "Each section can be sealed off independently. Even if a ship loses half its hull, the other half can still fight." The display shifted to show footage of human repair crews at work. Their quick, efficient movements drew admiring murmurs from the gathered engineers. "These repair teams," Tilara continued, "can replace damaged hull plates in minutes. The welding seams we laughed at, they're actually guide markers, showing exactly where to cut and how to attach new plates. It's brilliant in its simplicity." A Meridian engineer raised his hand. "But what about their weapons? Simple metal projectiles shouldn't be that effective." "Ah." Tilara switched the display to show a detailed analysis of Earth's kinetic weapons. "That's another clever design. The Vexcari's crystal shields are designed to deflect energy weapons, but Earth's ships fire solid metal rounds at incredible speeds. There's nothing for the shields to deflect. The projectiles simply punch straight through." The main doors slid open, and Ambassador Sarah Chen entered the facility. The room fell silent as she walked to the front, carrying a data tablet. "Ambassador," Tilera greeted her warmly, her earlier mockery forgotten. "We were just studying your ship's design principles. Would you be willing to share more details about their development?" Sarah nodded and connected her tablet to the main display. Of course, these designs weren't created by accident. Every feature you've noticed was carefully planned based on centuries of human military experience. The display showed Earth's shipyards, where new vessels were under construction. Unlike the Coalition's bioorganic growing chambers, these were massive industrial facilities filled with workers and machinery. "We built our ships this way because we know space warfare isn't about looking impressive," Sarah explained. "It's about staying in the fight. A ship that can be repaired is worth more than a ship that never gets damage." She brought up technical diagrams showing the internal layout of Earth's vessels. "See these backup systems? Every critical component has at least 2 replacements. If one fails, you switch to the backup while fixing the original. We call it redundancy. It's more important than efficiency." The Coalition engineers took rapid notes as Sarah continued her explanation. She showed them how Earth's ships were designed to be repaired by their crews without needing specialized facilities, how their power systems could run at reduced capacity even after taking massive damage, and how their compartmentalized design meant they could continue fighting even after sustaining hits that would destroy more advanced vessels. "But the most important feature," Sarah said, zooming in on a particular section, "is that anyone can fix these ships. You don't need special abilities or advanced technology, just basic tools and training." Tilera's feathers rippled with understanding. "That's why you use mechanical systems instead of bioorganic ones, because they can be repaired anywhere, by anyone." Sarah smiled. "Exactly. In war, the ability to make repairs quickly often matters more than having superior technology." She paused, looking at the gathered engineers. "Would you like to learn how to upgrade your own ships with similar systems?" The room erupted in enthusiastic agreement. The same beings who had once laughed at Earth's primitive technology were now eager to learn its secrets. As Sarah began explaining the basics of human engineering principles, she couldn't help but think about how quickly attitudes had changed. Sometimes, she reflected, the best way to prove your point was to let others discover it for themselves. 1 month after the Battle of Europa, Earth had become the center of the Coalition's resistance against the Vexcari. The once mock shipyards now buzzed with activity as workers modified Coalition vessels with human engineering principles. Refugee ships from across the galaxy orbited Earth, their crews learning human repair techniques. High Counselor Xerix stood in Earth's main shipyard, his crystalline form reflecting the sparks from nearby welding work. He watched as human engineers taught Coalition crews how to install mechanical backup systems in their bioorganic ships. "It's remarkable," he said to Sarah Chen, who stood beside him. "Your people have modified 15 Coalition ships this week alone. Ships that would have been destroyed by a single hit can now take serious damage and keep fighting." Sarah nodded, watching a team install metal reinforcement plates on a Meridian vessel. "The key was helping your crews understand that beauty and efficiency aren't always the same thing. A ship covered in repair patches isn't pretty, but it's still in the fight." The massive viewing window showed Earth's original fleet, their battle-scarred hulls wearing their damage like badges of honor. None had been lost in battle. Every ship damaged by the Vexcari had been repaired and returned to service. "Ambassador Chen," Xerix turned to her, his voice heavy with formal authority. "I believe I owe you an apology. When you first presented Earth's fleet to the Council, You laughed." Sarah finished for him, but her tone was kind. "It's all right, High Counselor. Sometimes the best lessons come from being proven wrong." Their conversation was interrupted by Tilera rushing into the observation deck, her feathers ruffled with excitement. "The analysis team has finished their report," she announced, connecting her tablet to the main display. The screen filled with technical data about the Vexcari fleet's weaknesses. "Earth's engineers were right," Tilera explained. "The Vexcari designed their ships for quick victories. They have no repair capabilities, no backup systems. Once damaged, They must retreat for complete replacement. Sarah studied the data carefully. They're like crystal sculptures, she observed. Beautiful but fragile. They never developed repair protocols because they always assumed their superior technology would prevent any damage in the first place. And now that assumption will be their downfall, Xerix added. Our modified ships can absorb their attacks and strike back. Even when damaged, we can make repairs and continue fighting. They can't. The display shifted to show the growing coalition defense fleet. Dozens of ships now carried Earth's modifications, reinforced hull plates, mechanical backup systems, and clearly marked repair guidelines. They weren't pretty anymore, but they were stronger than ever. There's more, Tilara said excitedly. Earth's engineers have developed a new weapon system based on their kinetic technology, something that could turn the tide of the war completely. Sarah smiled as the specifications appeared on screen. The weapon was typically human in its design, not particularly elegant, but incredibly effective. Simple physics, she explained. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways. Alerts sounded through the shipyard. The Vex-Carry had been spotted massing their forces for a major assault. They had apparently decided to eliminate the source of these troublesome modifications to coalition ships. They're coming to Earth, Xerix said quietly. Their entire fleet. Sarah's expression remained calm as she watched more coalition ships arrive for modification. The shipyard teams increased their pace, but didn't panic. Every hour meant more ships ready for battle, more crews trained in human repair techniques. Let them come, she replied. We'll show them what these primitive ships can really do. The coalition fleet gathered around Earth, a mix of modified bioorganic ships and human vessels. They weren't the prettiest fleet in the galaxy anymore, but they were about to become the most feared. The combined Earth coalition fleet faced the approaching Vex-Carry armada in high orbit around Earth. The enemy's crystal ships filled the void with their gleaming presence, their formation perfect and beautiful. In contrast, the defending fleet looked like a collection of patched-together survivors, which was exactly what they were. In the Earth Command Center, Sarah Chen stood with High Counselor Xerix and Dr. Tilara, watching the tactical display. The room hummed with focused activity as human and coalition operators worked side by side. The Vex-Carry are broadcasting, a communications officer announced. They're demanding our surrender. Sarah stepped forward. Put them on screen. The Vex-Carry's Supreme Commander appeared, his crystalline form radiating disdain. Your crude modifications to coalition vessels are an insult to proper engineering. Surrender now, and we will make your destruction quick. Sarah's response was calm and clear. We decline, but we'd like to show you something first. She nodded to Tilara, who activated a special display. The screen filled with images from every battle the Vex-Carry had won against the coalition. But now, there was a second set of images, showing those same destroyed coalition ships, fully repaired with Earth's modifications, ready to fight again. You see, Sarah explained, you've been fighting as if battles are won by who has the prettiest ships. We fight understanding that wars are won by those who can take a hit and keep going. The Vex-Carry commander's response was to cut communication and launch the attack. Thousands of crystal energy beams lanced out toward the defenders. But this time, the coalition was ready. Their modified ships absorbed the attacks, their new armor dispersing the energy harmlessly. Earth's vessels led the counterattack, their kinetic weapons smashing through Vex-Carry shields. All ships, execute Operation Repair Crew, Sarah ordered. What happened next amazed even the coalition observers. As the battle raged, small ships darted between the larger vessels. These were Earth's dedicated repair vessels, crewed by the best space welders in human space. They patched damage almost as fast as it occurred, keeping the fleet at nearly full strength. The Vex-Carry, confident in their superior numbers, pressed the attack. But for every ship they damaged, repair crews had it back in action within minutes. Meanwhile, their own damaged ships had to retreat, unable to make even basic repairs in the field. They're losing more ships than they can replace, Lara reported excitedly. Their formation is breaking. The tide turned decisively when the coalition ships unveiled their new weapons, massive kinetic launchers based on human designs. The Vexkeri's beautiful crystal ships shattered under the barrage, unable to withstand the simple physics of metal projectiles moving at incredible speeds. Their flagship is retreating, Xerix announced. The entire Vexkeri fleet is withdrawing. The command center erupted in cheers as they watched the enemy fleet flee. The defending ships, covered in fresh repair patches but still fighting strong, maintained their protective formation around Earth. 1 week later, the Coalition Council reconvened. The chamber that had once echoed with laughter at Earth's ships now fell silent as Sarah Chen took the speaker's platform. Behind her, the display showed the latest Coalition vessel designs, all incorporating Earth's primitive engineering principles. Ambassador Chen, High Counselor Xerix spoke formally. On behalf of the Coalition, I hereby invite Earth to take a permanent seat on the Council. Your people's understanding of practical engineering has saved us all. We would be honored to have humanity's wisdom helping guide our future. Sarah smiled as she accepted. The original Earth ships that had been mocked now floated proudly outside the Council station, their battle scars and repair patches visible for all to see. They weren't pretty, but they had changed the galaxy's understanding of what made a ship truly powerful. Sometimes, she reflected, the strongest designs were the ones that focused on staying in the fight rather than looking perfect. In teaching this lesson to the galaxy, humanity had earned something far more valuable than approval. They had earned respect.